With COVID-19 cases decreasing, the state and Quinnipiac University are lifting some restrictions.
Plus, it's St. Patrick's Day, so find out how students celebrated the holiday in a safe but, of course, fun manner. Plus, spring sports are back in full swing and students are allowed in the stadiums.
And find out which road in Hamden is responsible for more than 43% of the accidents last year.
All that and more on the Q30 Newscast. Hello and welcome to the Q30 Newscast. I'm Kaylin Terry.
And I'm Kate Pattyfoot. We have so much to get into, starting with the COVID vaccine. Quinnipiac remains in a green alert with 38 active cases in isolation, and as of today, there are 2,188 total number of COVID-19 tests that were performed, with 26 positive cases.
And there are 20 positive cases with on-campus students and 6 positive cases off-campus. Currently, the positivity rate is 1.2%. Students are encouraged to keep wearing their masks and social distance whenever they can. After a long wait and many vaccines rolled out, Governor Ned Lamont announced in a tweet on March 15th that all Connecticut residents who are 16 and older will be able to receive the COVID-19 vaccine starting April 5th.
And frankly, we're going to open it up to everybody eligible, 16 and above, on that same date, April 5th. So that is the shift. There won't be any more rating by age after April 5th, which is about 3 weeks away.
As for Quinnipiac students, John Morgan, Associate Vice President for Public Relations, said, quote, "The state is working on a strategy for how it can efficiently vaccinate college students. Once those plans are complete, the university will notify students about how they can get vaccinated and the guidelines put in place by the state," end quote.
After the rollout of vaccines in Connecticut, Governor Ned Lamont announced that the COVID restrictions are going to be lifted. Also yesterday, Quinnipiac announced that some of their COVID-19 restrictions would be lifted as well. Matthew Dronsick has more.
On Friday, the state of Connecticut plans on lifting its current COVID restrictions in accordance to the announcement made by Governor Ned Lamont on February 16th. In this new reopening phase, social and recreation indoor events will have its indoor capacity increased by 50% to a total of 100 people. In addition, outdoor events will also see an increased capacity with up to 200 people. Quinnipiac is also responding to these restrictions, following an email sent by Tom Ellett outlining how the university will gradually ease certain COVID-19 restrictions on campus. Some vaccinated students like Emily Schwartz are anxious for her friends who haven't received the vaccine.
For my friends who don't have any choice about it, about keeping themselves safe or whatever, they're pretty upset about the fact that we're actually opening up the restrictions right now.
As the state prepares to loosen these restrictions, Senior Medical Advisor Dr. David Hill talked about the challenges this brings.
So yes, opening things up to full capacity is a challenge, but that comes with a caveat that we still want to have distancing and we still want to have masks and we want to do the right things.
Despite the uncertainty, Stacy Cadu feels confident this will go well.
I think that they're pretty smart, it's we've been doing good so far. So, reducing the spread, I guess they're making progress with it, so I guess it's pretty good.
Dr. David Hill reminds us that though we are getting back to a sense of normalcy, the fight is not over.
This disease is still with us. There's still thousands of cases and ongoing deaths. We can't let our guard down.
Matthew Dronsick, Q30 News.
It's been just over a year since sports fans were allowed in the stadiums to watch the games, but the long wait is soon over. Clever Stripes is live from the stadium to give you more information about how you can watch the Bobcats in action. Clever, what do you have for us?
Thanks, guys. Clever Streich, Kylesia Smith. We are live right outside of the Quinnipiac Field Hockey Stadium, where in just a few short days, Bobcat fans will be filling up the stands for the first time in over a year. On March 19th, Quinnipiac fans will be allowed back in attendance for outdoor games. Kai, can you tell us about some of the policies that will be changed with this announcement?
Yes, Clever, this is truly an exciting moment for the students here at Quinnipiac University. Like you said, it's been over a year since they've been allowed to participate in these games. But with this exciting moment, there are guidelines that we're going to have to follow. If you're coming to the games, first you're going to have to wear your mask at all times throughout the game, as well as social distance. And if you want to be at the games, it's a first come, first served basis. So you make sure you get here early because you do not want to miss this exciting moment.
Exactly, you want to get under those venue capacity limits, but all students and 2 parents of each Quinnipiac student athlete will be allowed back in attendance. And for the first time in a long time, Bobcat Nation will be back where they belong, in the stands, cheering on the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Clever Streich, Kalicia Smith, reporting on location for Q30 News. Let's head back to Studio 125 at the desk.
And as COVID-19 vaccines are rolling out, many restaurants are easing up on restrictions. Starting March 19th, restaurants have the ability to operate at full capacity. Now, this new order will allow restaurants to seat 8 people to a table with a required closing of 11 p.m. Face coverings, frequent cleaning, and social distancing are still required.
I think it's a good thing, and obviously we got to keep our distance still. Everybody's going to be spaced apart. There's going to be enough, room between tables and all that. Hopefully business picks up.
As commencements are almost 2 months away, some sense of normalcy will continue as families can now go out to eat at local restaurants after the ceremonies.
The Greater Hartford St. Patrick's Parade for this year is canceled due to COVID-19. According to the general chairperson of the Central Celtic Cultural Committee, Elizabeth Saunders, she said, if the public health conditions allow, the committee is planning a celebration of Irish culture, a, quote, halfway to St. Patrick's Day, end quote, event for the fall of 2021. The parade will not return until 2022 due to the ongoing pandemic.
Now, the theater program will be having its spring play beginning tomorrow. The show will continue until next weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, and next Thursday. The show will begin at 8 p.m. And this Friday and next Saturday, the show will be at 2 in the afternoon. And Iliad spins the familiar tale of gods and goddesses, undying love and endless battles told through an original immediate voice. 7 performers will share the narrative in this sweeping account of humanity's unshakable attraction to violence, destruction, and chaos. Now, the play will be free for all, and access to the live stream at the link where you can find it is on theater.qu.edu.
The contact tracing method that Quinnipiac has used recently changed this year. Luca Triant has more on the story and the changes involved.
A big part of Quinnipiac University's protocols with COVID-19 has been the process of contact tracing. While Student Health Services have been dealing with contact tracing as a part of their overall response to COVID-19, according to Dr. David Hill, there have been some concerns with the workload.
In the fall, it was just an overwhelming task. And again, these were volunteers. So we were pulling faculty and staff from their other duties to do contact tracing. And contact tracing, if you've ever been contacted or traced, it's a long, involved process.
To help alleviate the workload of those in Student Health Services, the university turned off-campus for a solution for the spring semester.
What we've done is we have contracted with UST Global, and they have been helping us in contact students who are in isolation and quarantine.
UST is a global provider for products such as IT services. For Quinnipiac, UST allocates its own employees to act as contact tracers for the school. As an example, they check up on students in quarantine via email and phone calls. Students gave their thoughts on the switch from on-campus to off-campus contact tracing.
I don't really think that it makes much of a difference who is doing the contact tracing, as long as there is contact tracing being done to keep everyone safe.
I've heard less people talking about being contact traced, so I guess it's either because less people have it or because they're doing a worse job.
The contact tracing switch is one of the many things the university has made. The contact tracing switch is one of the many changes the university has made from the fall semester to the spring semester. As vaccines are rolling out across the nation to more and more people, however, further changes may be in store to reflect the situation for COVID on Quinnipiac's campus. For Q30 News, I'm Luca Triant.
It's been a little more than a year since the COVID-19 pandemic started and since Quinnipiac went completely remote. This past Monday, the school hosted a day of remembrance for students.
Students were able to go and reflect on the last year and how it affected their lives. Vanessa Blasi has more.
1 year ago, on March 15, 2020, Quinnipiac made the announcement that students would no longer be returning to campus due to COVID-19, breaking the hearts of many members of the Quinnipiac community.
You know, at that time we thought, okay, will this be a week, 2 weeks, a few weeks?
On the 1-year anniversary this past Monday, Quinnipiac held a day of hope and remembrance to allow students and faculty to reflect on the hardships this past year has brought.
Despite every hardship we experienced, we made it through. And we wanted to come together today to mark this moment and look forward to the future as a community.
Many students understand that they'll never forget about the challenges they faced during quarantine, yet there is hope for the future.
And there were times throughout this where I would be depressed a bit, but also this quarantine showed me that I'm not alone.
With the help of the Quinnipiac community, students and faculty can work toward healing and moving forward from this dark time.
So we really hope that for students' sake that, you know, they can mark this day in the calendar as like the first step forward into some brighter and more hopeful days.
Although nothing can bring back the moments that students and faculty lost this past year due to COVID-19, small efforts like this Day of Hope and Remembrance symbolize a step forward for the Quinnipiac community. I'm Vanessa Blasi for Q30 News.
When we come back, Cassidy Berger is in the studio to give us the latest national news.
And the Hampton Police Department warns pedestrians on how to safely cross a popular road. But first, we have a little weather tease by Melanie. Melanie, is it going to snow again?
Thanks, Kaylin K. Luckily, it is not going to snow again. Today we saw a little bit of a cloudy sky. Tomorrow, if you have classes in person, I recommend you bringing your raincoat, rain boots, and an umbrella because it will rain tomorrow. And then Friday, we will get back to another cloudy sky. After the break, I will have more on this week's weather.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh. Well, you can't.
Welcome back. We're joined in studio with Cassidy Berger for the national news updates.
Yeah, and Kaylin, I heard you got your stimulus check, so let's see if anyone else will get theirs too.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Starting off with some good news, relief is on the way for millions of Americans. Stimulus checks have begun rolling out, with some seeing the money only a day after President Biden signed the $1.9 trillion relief bill. The rest of the rollouts will take several weeks, with the first batch going to taxpayers with direct deposit information on their 2019 or 2020 tax returns. Eligible Americans may receive up to $1,400 this payment. Individuals with children or adult dependents may receive the same amount for each one. This stimulus check has a lower cutoff for eligibility, with qualification cutoff at $80,000 per person for a year, or $160,000 for couples. Last Saturday, March 13th, marked the 1-year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's killing. Protesters in Louisville are demanding local and state officials to bring criminal charges to those involved with Taylor's death. Since Taylor's death, her family was awarded $12 million in a wrongful death lawsuit against Louisville. Louisville also banned no-knock warrants and implemented a series of police reforms as a result of the settlement. None of the officers who fired their weapons in the raid that killed Taylor have been charged. It has been 10 weeks since the 2020 election certification was delayed by the Capitol riots. This week, 2 men were arrested for allegedly spraying a chemical onto law enforcement. One affected law enforcement officer, Brian Sicknick, died a day later. The cause of his death is still being investigated. The 2 men were identified as Julian Ellie Shader and George Pierre Tanios. According to the Justice Department, the 2 men were arrested on Sunday, March 14th for, quote, conspiring to injure officers and assaulting federal officers, end quote. In footage from the raid, Cater asked Tanios to hand him bear spray. The actual chemical has not been identified by federal investigators. That's all I have for this week's national update. I'm Cassidy Berger, sending it back to the desk.
The Hamden Police Department noticed a 10% increase in motor vehicle and pedestrian accidents in 2020 compared to the years prior. In just 2020 alone, the department investigated 31 pedestrian-involved accidents, with almost half of them being involved on Dixwell Avenue. To avoid these accidents, police are telling pedestrians to use the crosswalks and avoid distractions to safely cross the street.
After the break, Melanie Carreri is in the studio to tell us whether the cold weather is around to stay.
And Hannah Mursky has the latest political updates. We'll be back soon.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Okay, Melanie, what kind of weather are we going to be seeing for the rest of this week? Because I don't know about you, Caitlin, but I definitely saw some snow flurries yesterday.
Yeah, Kay, I honestly thought we were in the clear from the cold weather, but hey, I like the cold, so I'm not really complaining. Melanie, tell us what we're going to see this week.
All right, so let's just start with the state of Connecticut. We could see that Torrington has a high of 39, Danbury 40, and then New Haven is 41, and Hartford is also 41. But moving on kind of further away from the Hampton area, we could see that Norwich and New London is 38 degrees, which is a little more closer to the sound. The closer you get to the sound, the colder it gets. Moving on to this week's weather, we could see that today we had some partly cloudy skies. It was a little cloudy today with a high of 46 and a low of 36. Tomorrow, if you have in-person classes, I highly recommend you bringing your raincoats, rain boots, and umbrella because we will be seeing some rain with a high of 47. And later that night, I would bundle up with that low of 29. And Friday, I would also bundle up with a high of 38 and some cloudy skies. However, this weekend, we can clearly see that spring is blooming because we have a high of 49, a low of 28. And then Sunday and Monday, we have a high of 55 with some beautiful sunny weather and sunny skies. And then Tuesday, we have a high of 58, which is really close to 60. So, you know, spring is coming in bloom. I don't think we'll be seeing a whole lot of cold weather after this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, thanks, guys. Back to Kaylin and Kay at the desk.
Applications for the Fall 2021 Emergency Medical Services, EMS for short, is live. The deadline to apply is July 1st. Now, the application requirements is you must have an EMT certification, a valid AHA, BLS, and CPR certification, a valid driver's license, and be at least 18 years old. Any student who is interested and meets the requirements are encouraged to apply.
We really encourage anybody who's interested in healthcare or helping people to join the program. It's a great opportunity for people to get experience in healthcare and providing care directly to patients, as well as an opportunity for them to get leadership experience and experience teaching others as well.
If you have any questions, feel free to email publicrelations@quems.org.
Hannah Mursky is in the studio to give us all of the latest political news. What do you have for us, Hannah?
To begin our political news, a return to the 2015 Iran nuclear deal is still possible in the near future, as campaigned by Biden and mentioned by the United Nations nuclear watchdog. The United States and other countries joined in to keep a lid on how much uranium is being stockpiled for nuclear weapons. Former President Donald Trump left the deal in 2018, saying that Iran did not reduce their missile program, which led Iran to ignore limitations a year later. Now that the United States wants back in, Biden wants full compliance. But Iran has their own demands. In order to rejoin, Iran is saying the U.S. needs to cut the sanctions set in place when the deal was created. Whether the U.S. will be able to rejoin the nuclear deal again or not, only time will tell. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken took his first trip overseas to Tokyo, Japan, to strengthen alliances with Asian countries, and warns China, saying, quote, "We will push back if necessary when China uses coercion and aggression to get its way," end quote. Japan faces national security threats as China becomes more territorial in the East and South China Sea. Blinken also confirmed the United States' stance on human rights in China, as Beijing just passed a plan to control Hong Kong's electoral system, while Blinken and other members will travel to South Korea next to talk about the two and Japan working closely on denuclearizing North Korea. The meeting with China in Alaska still awaits. In Washington, D.C., a bill was passed just yesterday regarding unreported child abuse during the pandemic. The bill, titled the Stronger Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, passed 345 to 73 by the House, which reinstates the conversation of child welfare in the United States. New standards will be met to track and report child fatalities, as well as the new virtual system for information on child abuse cases. Democratic Representative Bobby Scott of Virginia said, quote, "A bipartisan solution we need to not only better treat child abuse and neglect, but prevent maltreatment from happening in the first place," end quote. While child abuse case numbers have dropped since the beginning of the pandemic, experts fear that the reason is because cases are not being reported. While there's so much more to talk about, that's all the time I have. Back to you, Kay and Kaylin.
We're going to take our final break of the night, but when we come back,
Cliver Streich is back in the studio to tell us more about an award-winning coach and some spring sports action.
Stay tuned.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Welcome back. Tonight we're joined with Cliver Streich to give us the latest in sports.
Yeah, Cliver, I hear we have some more award winners, and I don't know about you, Kay, but I'm super excited for spring sports to be back. So what do you have for us, Cliver?
Guys, it's been an eventful week in the world of QU sports, so let's get started by headed to the rink. Let's congratulate men's ice hockey coach Rand Pecknold on being named the ECAC Hockey Tim Taylor Head Coach of the Year. This is the third time Pecknold has won this award in the past 6 seasons. This year, Pecknold coached the Bobcats to the Cleary regular season championship and the #1 seed in the ECAC hockey postseason. QU will hope to take the ECAC hockey playoff finals this upcoming Saturday when they face the winner of Thursday's Colgate and St. Lawrence matchup. Puck drop is set for the finals is set for 4 p.m. at the Peebles United Center. Let's recap what happened in the Burt Conn Court last weekend when the women's volleyball team took on the Canisius Golden Eagles in 2 games on Saturday. Quinnipiac was able to take the noontime game 3-2 thanks to the leadership of junior outside hitter and MAC Player of the Week Maggie Baker, who registered 25 kills, tying her career all-time high. Despite this momentum, Quinnipiac was not able to sweep Canisius on Saturday as they fell in a 4 p.m. game 3-0. The Bobcats will look to get back to their winning ways on the hardwood floor this Friday when they face Marist in another doubleheader. On the road Tuesday afternoon, the Quinnipiac women's soccer team almost made the comeback against the Ryder Bronx in a 2-2 overtime draw. Coming off of being named MAC Rookie of the Week, first-year Rebecca Cook kept Quinnipiac in the game offensively by tallying both Bobcat goals, including a game-tying marker in the 86th minute to push the game to overtime. Despite Cook scoring her first 2 career goals, Quinnipiac was not able to find the net again in the 20-minute overtime as the game finished in a draw. Quinnipiac will be back in action next Tuesday when they host Manhattan at 3 p.m. in Hampton. And that's all for sports. Let's go back to the desk.
Thanks, Clever. I can't wait to be able to watch the Bobcats in person again. I think I'm most excited for some baseball. How about you, Kay?
I think women's lacrosse for me. But let's take it back to maple syrup. Now, Kaylin, what's your favorite maple syrup?
I think that my favorite is definitely the fake stuff. I'm not going to lie, that high fructose corn syrup really gets me. I'm not a fan of the real maple syrup. What about you?
I agree. My favorite is the Pearl Milling Company, formerly known as Aunt Jemima's. It's so good. It's so yummy. But Hannah Mirsky has more on a sugar shack that makes syrup.
The weather is cold and perfect to be tapping some maple trees to get your own maple sugar. Brookvale Park Sugar Shack has been hard at work to get ready for their open house on March 20th.
When we are bottling syrup, which we'll hopefully be doing in about a week and a half, that's another very exciting day when all the hard work pays off and we're bottling that syrup knowing that people are going to enjoy it.
What the public gets to buy starts in the tiny shed right here at the park.
It looks like water, it tastes like water, it is water.
Yet 2% of that water is actually sugar. The process is simple. Pouring the water into the reservoir pan to heat up, where droplets take a path and become darker and thicker before moving to the cooking chamber.
Maple syrup, 10 hours later.
While the process is simple and uneventful, only 54 gallons of sap generate 1 gallon of maple syrup. This calls for long hours and a lot of tapping. Collecting large amounts of sap is becoming more and more challenging each year as our winters grow shorter.
You need a winter to have a maple syrup season. Unfortunately, in Connecticut, our winters are disappearing.
Where tapping used to happen in the middle of January, Lappin only started in the last week of February and will go until the end of the week.
I really don't think that there will be much sugaring in southern Connecticut in 20 years from now. It'll be one of those things of the past.
Many sugar shacks have stopped operation in the past 2 years in southern Connecticut, but Brookvale Park hopes to see a few more seasons in the future. Reporting for Q30 News, I'm Hannah Mirsky.
It was really interesting to watch them make that maple syrup.
I know, and how about Hannah having a hand in that too? I thought that was pretty cool.
I know. Hannah, you gotta let us know. How was it?
Impressive skill that she had there pouring it in.
I know, and it's really exciting with spring sports coming back, especially with, head coach Rand Pecknold winning that award. We just had a ton of award winners in the realm of hockey, player of the week, things like that. So it's really, really cool to see, Rand Pecknold win that award.
Yeah, and I think, coaches that win awards, so do their team, so it all is a system.
I know.
All right. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for tonight's show.
Be sure to check us out on Q30 on all of our social medias and download our new app to stay up to date with the latest Quinnipiac news. I'm Kaylin Terry.
And I'm Kay Pattyfoot. Good night, Bobcats.